Good morning. Today is April the 8th, and today we begin our unit on the Renaissance. Um, Beginning by this, by this time you should have received a paper copy of Artworks of the Masters, as well as you have this study guide, which we'll be referring to. We will have a test where you will need to recognize 10 of the great works of Renaissance masters. And by recognize them, I mean know them by the name of what the artwork is, the artist who accomplished it, and three, the medium which they use. Now I've already, if I know me, and I do, I've already shown you how to find the medium of a particular art. The medium of a particular piece of art is simply what they use to make it. I mean, is it a pencil drawing? Which actually there's an entire field of pencil drawings. Is it a pen drawing? Is it a sculpture? And is that sculpture in marble or is it in limestone? Is it a painting? And if it's a painting, is it tempera on wood panel, which is tempera is the use of a paint made from eggs. How they do that, I don't know. Or is it oil painting on canvas, or is it acrylic painting on canvas? The two paintings I have in my room at the back, the two big ones, those are acrylic paint on wood panel. Pardon me. In fact, or is it a fresco? Fresco is oil painting on wet plaster, which it's a tricky process. You actually have to finish the painting before the plaster dries. Otherwise, you have problems. So let's get to this, shall we, for about 10 minutes. There we go. Yeah, the Renaissance spirit in Italy. As Europe and Western culture as a whole were emerging from the death throes of the Dark Ages, the advances in art were led by the Italians. Why did the Italians lead in producing art, spending all this money on art? The answer is quite simple. They spent money on art because they had money to spend. You know, you don't spend the mortgage on art. For example, you don't spend the money you had intended to buy groceries to go to a rock concert. Yeah, it's not which is a type of art appreciation, but people don't do that. What kind of money do you use for art? Answer: you use disposable income. In other words, extra money. And because of the profitable trade of the Italian merchants, primarily with the spice trade of the Near East, which the Venetian and Genovese merchants would purchase spice from the Near East, bring it back to Europe, and then turn around and sell that spice to the rest of Europe for a tremendous profit. And with that profit, they said, what can I do with this? And the answer is they bought art. And you and I are sitting there saying, if I had money, I would never go out and buy art. Well, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I mean, if you had lots of money, just like me, you'd go out and buy something that you found aesthetically pleasing. A sports car, for example. Well, that's a type of art. Why did you buy this car? Yes, you buy it because it runs fast, but you also buy it because it looks appealing to you. You'd buy fancy clothes. You'd buy, you'd go on a trip, to appreciate a certain part of the world. You would recreate yourself. And that's what these Italians were doing. But the way that they did it, they would pay artists to come and live at their house. And while they lived at their house, they would create works of art. Michelangelo, for example, when he was first financed by the Medici family, Lorenzo the Magnificent, he lived in their compound. They had a walled compound. He lived there, but he lived there with a whole bunch of other artists. They were creating art for Lorenzo the Medici. Why? So Lorenzo could show it off to all of his buddies. I mean, it's what we all do. When we get a beautiful something or other, we don't hide it in the closet. We take it out and troll it around so other people can use it, whether it be a car or good clothes or, you know, um, if you buy a lavish house that you've decorated, you don't live there alone and never have anybody over. No, you bring people over so you can show them. And basically, that's what these Italians were doing. They had money and they spent it on art, which was the way that they recreated themselves at the time. So, so these wealthy Italian merchants, as well as the Roman Catholic Church, which was also wealthy, poured their time and their money, their treasure, into reviving the old Greek and Roman cultures into what is called a rebirth or renaissance of interest in art and learning. And also with this became an interest in uh, art, learning about life on earth as opposed to what might happen in heaven. Remember that during all the dark ages, the only thing everybody was worried about was whether or not they were going to go to heaven. And so interest in art really didn't have a place. But with the Black Plague, which killed half the population, and people said, you know what, if I'm going to die anyway, I may as well like what I'm doing when I'm down here. Or the Crusades, which discredited the church, the corruption of the church. People said, maybe I'll just like my life down here. Maybe I'll just make my life comfortable down here, enjoy myself down here. So, Roman number one. The Renaissance sprang from a well funded effort in Italy to revive the artistic and intellectual glories of Rome and classical Greece. As it says there, the two leading cities in early Renaissance Italy were Venice and Genoa. For centuries, those two port cities, Venice and Genoa, by the way, let me pause here. Map. Yes, and we're back. And now that map wanted to show you. And so here is Venice, and here is Genoa. These two cities, not Italy, but these two cities dominated the spice trade and became very wealthy through the spice trade. So, where are we, shall we? For centuries, these two port cities jealously guarded their monopoly over the spice trade, and that means, they guarded it the way, to be honest, the way that drug dealers today guard their drug. They don't allow other drug dealers to come into their area and compete with them for selling drugs. That's why there's drug violence, even resorting to violence. And the Venetians and the Genovese were just like that. As it says there, since this period is so important to the humanities, this chapter will entail two kinds of tests. The one test will simply be a regular test regarding who did what, where, and why they do it, like no test. The other test will be one in which each student will be required to identify the works of art, and sometimes they're artists, and as well as the medium. So be thusly prepared. And you know what? I'm going to stop because I'm going to need time to acquaint you with these 10 works of art. So thank you, and we'll pick up with Roman numeral 3 tomorrow.